Allow me to share my screen with you. This is Coralla Fickler McLean, welcome.com. Okay, also repeat, repeat.com. So these are the cards that I had, because I've done them. I did these cards a while ago. And I needed to do them because gender, because I'm an English speaker, can be sort of difficult to understand. I mean, I know there's la, el, y la, y los, y las. I know that. And when it follows the rule, I can deal with it. You know, if it ends in an A, many times, most times it's feminine. If it ends in an O, most times it's masculine, but then you have those exceptions, las manos, right? Especially if it's ends in an MA, that's masculine, even though you would think it would be feminine since it says ma, but it's masculine because it comes from Greek. And in Greek, it was neuter, because Greek had even more genders than Spanish had and French has. I think it's like German. German, I think, is also has neuter, right? But I never really got it. So things that I don't get, I do what I normally do. I learned this when I was studying history and maybe even trying to become a history professor. If you don't understand it, do your research. So this is the result of my research. These are Spanish rules as far as gender is concerned. Some I'm just going to let you just see for yourself. For example, here, there are some countries that are feminine, like La Francia, La Argentina, La Barcelona, La Roma. So if you're going to have to put article and determine whether, because everything in Spanish is either, well, there's about there's certain things that are, low is sort of neuter. But most things, 99.9% of nouns nouns are either masculine or feminine, right? So here, these are countries which are feminine. I think I do all feminine because I've seen these cards, but I don't remember exactly the order, but certain, I do all feminine and then I do masculine, I think. But let's see. Okay, now, most fruits in Spanish are feminine. Well, so there's no problem. But there are exceptions. So that's what I deal with. I deal with the exception. El aguacate, el limón, el melón, el plátano, el higo. Okay. So these are exceptions. Plátanos, yes, I know el plátano macho. And the reason I know, because I used to go shopping in the tianguis or the outdoor market, because tianguis or mercado, and I would buy plátanos. Say, lo que necesito es un plátano macho, right? What I need is one of those big bananas. Okay, now, this is interesting. Because I think if you talk to most Americans would think if you were to determine whether a language is feminine and masculine, and number one, they wouldn't think that way naturally, because for us, it's a language, it's not feminine, it's not masculine. But I think if you push them, they would say Spanish is a feminine language, but no, it's not. Spanish is fundamentally a masculine language. Rivers are masculine because the word Rio, and Rio is spelled R-I accent O, Rio. So I can't tell if you're able to tell that that's an accent rather than a dot, but just in case, Rio is R-I accent O, the accent over the I is masculine. So when you have to put an article in front of the name of a river, even if the river is Plata, and you would think that would be feminine, rivers are masculine. This is showing you why Spanish is fundamentally a masculine language. Oceans seas, as I said, rivers, lakes, mountains, and mountains are masculine, even though the word mountain, montaña, la montaña is feminine. Isn't that interesting? Right? So, el océano, el mar, el río, el lago, el monte. But montaña, which also means mountain, is feminine. But el monte, which I guess also means, well, not guess, also means mountain, is masculine. And then I give you examples here of names of oceans, rivers, seas, whatever, and masculine. You can see this. Names of the name of cars, of boats, of aircrafts, of sports teams, and wines. I would think wine would be feminine. I don't know why, but it's masculine. Okay, it's masculine. El barco, el coche, el avión, el lago, y el monte. Not monte, equipo. Okay, let's see. Okay, days of the week and months of the year are masculine. El lunes, el martes, el enero, el septiembre. Spanish is fundamentally a masculine language when you're referring to a grammatical point, like all infinitives and words referred to for grammatical purposes. For example, let's say you're talking about day. You said, well, el day en español, el por en español, el para en español. When you're talking about a grammatical word or grammatical concept, el sustantivo, el verbo, these are all masculine. Genderless words such as adverbs used as nouns are masculine. El algo, el nada, el a, el de, el híjole. I say that a lot. Híjole, mano, ¿por qué me lo dijiste? Ah, híjole, no lo quiero oír. Yeah, I say híjole a lot. These are not genderless words, but adverbs, interjections like híjole, pronouns, they don't have gender. What has gender in Spanish are nouns. Other grammatical terms, if you know your parts of speech, you have nouns. No, you have verbs first. Nouns. Verbs are not masculine or feminine. Okay. But nouns are, pronouns aren't, adverbs, genderless, adjectives, yes, they are masculine, feminine, and they agree in number. Prepositions, no gender. Conjunctions, no gender. And interjections, no gender. Numbers, musical notes, and colors are masculine. And here are examples. Then you begin to say, well, what is feminine? Spanish is masculine. Okay. Countries, regions, and cities which do not end in an unstressed A, which do not end in an unstressed R, are masculine. Los Estados Unidos, el Brasil, el Londres, el Moscú. So countries, regions, provinces, and cities which do not end in unstressed A are masculine. Compound nouns and unspanish or not Spanish-like foreign words are masculine. Okay. For example, el boom. That's English. Baby, a boom is like a noise. Boom. El jazz, masculine. Because these are English words that are now part of Spanish, but they're not in any way Spanish. If the word looks like Spanish, then that's different. Okay. And el pub, that's English, that's British English. Okay, and a compound noun will be para aguas, which literally means for water. And what do you use? What item is for water? Umbrella. So el para aguas is umbrella. That's a compound word. Spanish is basically a masculine language. Feminine forms of professional or educational titles still have pejorative meaning. So it's different if you say, let me see, el juez is the judge. La jueza, if you want to make that into feminine, it doesn't really mean a female judge. It means the judge's wife. Jefe is boss, but a la jefa, which I've never heard, I always heard la jefe, it means someone who's overbearing, an overbearing woman, or like they used to call the wife, someone ball and chain. Okay. Let me see. You can see el socio is your partner. But if you were to make that feminine, la socia, that's slang for prostitute. So this is really important because it shows what a language feels about male, feels about gender, feels about male versus female, and roles that if a woman plays that usually the society has reserved for male, it doesn't mean the same thing. So this is a very important card. Feminine forms of professional or educational titles still have pejorative overtones. And I think this is cultural, and I think it all depends on the culture. This might be true, for example, in one culture that's Spanish speaking, but not true in another culture that's Spanish speaking. But I never heard la jefa. I always had heard la jefe. You didn't make it into feminine. El médico, la médico, but not la médica. I never. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist because I didn't hear all the Spanish from everywhere. But when I was living in Mexico, I found this to be true. Okay, that's a rerun, so I'll have to remove that. Let me see. Yeah, I have it twice, so right in front of you, I'm going to put it into the trash. Okay. These are more words that you would think, but they end in ma, el cisma, el aroma, el plasma, el dilemma, el dogma. You would think they would be feminine because they end in a, but they don't just end in a, they end in ma. And words, nouns that end in ma, M-A-A, are normally masculine. They are not feminine. They're feminine nouns. And especially to help you more, especially if they are cognates. Not all the time, okay? But if you can look at the word and you recognize that word, even if it's a little bit difficult to figure out, like el aroma, el plasma. This all comes from Greek, right? And in Greek, ancient Greek, they are neuter. And if they come from Greek and you recognize them, the norm is that these words are masculine, not feminine. Okay, let me go down. Okay, the only difference is the article. El y la líder. So even if it's feminine or masculine, the only way you know it's feminine or masculine is by the article. Like it's el estudiante, la estudiante, not la estudianta. I've never heard that. Never heard that. So the only difference is the article. Okay. All right, I think I already had this before. Cities and other types of settlements. So I have that twice. No problem. A female name applied to a male becomes masculine. Es usted, Señor Moreno. Un Hillary Clinton. So a female name. I don't know when you do that. Well, maybe you can say he's a Margaret Thatcher. You know, in English, I've never heard a female name that's applied to a male, like Senor Moreno would be compared to Hillary Clinton, saying that Senor Moreno is a Hillary Clinton. Now, I have heard, in English at least, I have heard of a male name applied to a female. But I think in English, I've never heard of a female name saying that John is a Hillary Clinton. But just in case you do, in Spanish at least, when you compare, when a female name is applied to a male, that female name becomes masculine. So it wouldn't be una Hillary Clinton, only if you're comparing Hillary Clinton to a female. But if it's compared to a male, it's Señor Moreno es un Hillary Clinton, not Señor Moreno es una Hillary Clinton, even though Hillary Clinton is a female. Isn't that weird? It's weird for English speakers. For Spanish speakers, no. Just like certain things in our language is weird to other people who don't speak English. But a male name applied to a female remains masculine. Isn't that something? So if I say Señora Morena es, now I'm comparing La Señora Moreno to Bill Clinton. So if it were like the rule I just told you in the other card, it would be una Bill Clinton, but no. If you're comparing a female to a male, that name remains masculine. Señora Moreno es un Bill Clinton. She's so slick. Isn't that something? But here, if you're comparing Señor Moreno to a female, something like I said, I've never heard in English, but to a female, that female name becomes masculine. But if you're comparing a female to a male, that male name or person, well, the name remains masculine. Spanish is fundamentally a masculine language. And all this is very interesting because it shows you what a culture, what a people feel about gender, especially when they make note of it in their nouns. When in English, you don't. How to make a noun plural. Add an S when noun ends in unstressed vowel, and an unstressed vowel. Unstressed means that that's not where the accent is, whether written or just part of the rule. So, las reglas, los osos, mis casas, estes, vasos, tus camas. So in none of those cases is the vowel stressed. So therefore you just add an S. I think I'm going to do one more card. Let me see if it's complicated. If it's, I'll do it. Okay. Well, this is the same thing. A female name applied to a male becomes masculine. We've already done this. So What are we looking at? We're looking at gender. Now, these types of cards really, you know, somebody who speaks, let's say, Italian, maybe even German, which is not a Latin-based language, but speak Italian, or speak someone who speaks a language where gender is an important part. This is nothing new. Gender is no problem. Maybe the gender is different. Maybe in French it's masculine and in Spanish it's plural. I think in French, une voiture, I think that's in French, that's feminine, but in Spanish, un coche is masculine. So a car in French is feminine and a car in Spanish is masculine. So that might happen, you know, in one language is masculine, in other language is feminine, but the concept exists. In English, the concept does not exist. Sometimes we might call it both she, or we might call it, but that's informal, okay? I think you might call a statue she or he, but that's informal. But there is no formal gender. All words are genderless. Where in Spanish, gender plays an extremely important role. As we go on, you're going to see it plays more than the role of just, you know, el or la or los or las. And I also think it's a good way to see how a country sees gender roles and how a country thinks about gender. That one about, you know, if you're comparing a male to a female, that female name is no longer una, it becomes un. Señor Moreno, es usted, señor Moreno, un Hillary Clinton. Not una Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton is a female, but es usted, señora Moreno, un Bill Clinton. You're comparing a female to a male, that name still remains male. And that, I think that's very interesting. It really gives you a clue about how a culture, how a language, because language is a reflection of culture, feels about gender. So I'm going to cut it off here. This is, there's about, I don't know, maybe about 50 or 60 cards. Cut it off here and then do part 2. We're looking at Spanish rules gender. So thank you very much for coming to my video. I hope it's of help. If it is, would you be so kind as to subscribe so I can be on my road to getting 1 million subscribers? Even if I don't, it doesn't matter. I did this for me and I'm doing this, and I think some of this, these cards can be of help to English speakers who want to understand better the language that they're trying to learn. And it can even help second generation Spanish speakers who speak the language but not really understand the grammar of the language. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to say thank you very much and see you in the next video. Bye. And have a good day. Bye-bye.